Welcome to The Explainer. What does it really take to build a nation from the ground up? Today, we're diving into the life of a king who did exactly that. We're talking about a leader whose legacy isn't just about battles won, but about creating the very idea of a nation ruling itself.
Wow, this one line says it all, doesn't it? It's about so much more than just political freedom. It's about dignity, about pride. So the big question is, how did one person spark a movement that literally changed the course of history? Let's dig in.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to follow his journey from a young visionary to a military genius. Then we'll get into his ideas on justice, his epic coronation, and finally, we'll look at why he's still such a huge deal today. Okay, so our story kicks off in a pretty unexpected place. Not on some grand battlefield, but in a quiet temple. And it starts with a secret promise made by a teenager. A promise that was about to light a fire that would change everything.
So at the core of everything he did was this one powerful idea, Swarajya, self-rule. And you got to understand, this wasn't just about switching out one king for another. No, this was about creating a kingdom that was actually governed by its own people for its own people. In an age of massive empires, an idea like that, it was completely revolutionary.
So picture this. It's the 1630s, and young Shivaji is growing up watching his homeland being ruled by far-off empires. Then, in 1645, when he's just 15 years old, he gets his closest friends together and makes this incredible secret vow to create Hindavi Swarajya, self-rule. And that one moment, that one promise, basically set the course for the rest of his life.
Okay, so making a vow is one thing, right? But actually pulling it off against gigantic powers like the Adil Shahi and Mughal empires, that's a whole different ballgame. To even stand a chance, he had to invent a new way to fight. We're talking about guerrilla warfare, turning the mountains and valleys of his own backyard into his biggest advantage. And man, his brilliance showed up fast. He takes his first fort in 1647. Just a few years later, in 59, he completely outsmarts and takes down the fearsome general Afzal Khan. Then in 63, he pulls off this unbelievable surgical strike on the Mughal viceroy, Shaista Khan, right in his own camp. These weren't just wins, they were psychological blows that proved these huge empires weren't invincible after all. This is where you really see his mind at work. So he gets invited to this friendly meeting with Afzal Khan, but his spies tell him, hey, this is a trap. So what does he do? He shows up, but he's wearing hidden armor and carrying this secret weapon called a wagnaka, which literally means tiger claws. He knew what was coming and he completely turned the tables, making their trap his victory. And this quote, he came for a life, but left with only his fingers. It's just perfect for what happened with Shaista Khan. This Mughal general had the nerve to set up his headquarters in Shivaji's childhood home. So, in an act of pure audacity, Shivaji sneaks into this heavily armed camp in the middle of the night and attacks the general right in his bedroom. Khan barely gets away, losing his fingers in the process. Talk about a humiliation. The message was loud and clear. Nobody, no matter how powerful, was safe. But here's the thing, these incredible wins weren't just about being a brilliant general. Shivaji knew that to build something that would actually last, he needed the people on his side. And you don't get that with force. You earn it with justice and by bringing everyone together. He basically created a whole new identity. His idea of Swarajya wasn't just for one community. It was a massive coalition. You had Marathas, Kolis, Ramoshis, and he even had Muslims in really important high-ranking positions. He united them all with this one powerful shared goal, self-rule. And this story just says everything about his character. One of his generals captures an enemy's daughter-in-law and brings it to Shivaji as like a prize of war. And Shivaji's reaction? He's horrified. He actually apologizes to her, says she's like a mother to him, and has her sent back home safely with full honors. That sets a standard, right? It shows exactly what his kingdom was all about. And look, this wasn't just him being nice one time. These were actual strict policies. His army had standing orders. You do not harm women, you do not harm farmers, you do not harm holy sites. If they found a copy of the Quran, for example, it had to be treated with total respect. It's this deep commitment to justice that got him the name Raya Raja, the people's king.
So, okay, he's won the battles, he's won over the people, but to really be seen as a legitimate power, to be able to stand up to the huge empires as an equal, he needed to make one more massive statement. And that statement was his coronation. On June 6, 1674,
everything changed. You see, before that day, his enemies could just write him off as a local troublemaker, a rebel. But after, he was Chhatrapati, a sovereign emperor, a real, legitimate king, the founder of a new empire.
This wasn't just a party with a crown. This coronation was a political earthquake. It was a formal declaration to everyone saying, hey, there's a new power in town, and we rule by our own authority, not because some emperor far away says we can. It didn't just put him on the map, it basically forced everyone to redraw the entire map.
So that brings us to the big question. Why are we still talking about a king from the 17th century, almost 350 years later? Well, it's because his legacy isn't just stuck in history books. It's alive, right now, shaping modern India in some really incredible ways. And when I say big, I mean monumental. Just look at this number. The proposed memorial statue for him in the Arabian Sea is planned to be 212 meters high. That would make it the tallest statue in the world. That alone tells you just how huge his presence is in the national consciousness.
And check this out. This is maybe the coolest example of his lasting impact. Shivaji was way ahead of his time. He knew how crucial a navy was, which is why he's often called the father of the Indian Navy. And today, the modern Indian Navy pays tribute to that vision by using his royal seal, the Raj Mudra, as its official crest. Think about that. A vision from the 1600s is the symbol for a 21st century military force. That's incredible.
And really that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? The story of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, it's not just something that happened a long time ago. It's like a timeless guide to leadership. It shows how one person's dream of self-respect, of fair rule for everyone, and of sheer guts can build something that lasts for centuries. Which leaves us all with a pretty big question to think about. How can those same ideas of self-rule, justice, and courage continue to inspire a nation today?